Hey everybody, this is Tucker O'Hare, and this is my case study for Module 10, When a Student's Rights Are Wronged. So Section 1 is just summarizing the case, establishing the facts. Um, Essentially, you've got Miguel. He's a sophomore at Nottingham High School, suffered an injury in a home football game, and ended up paralyzed from the waist down. The high school is not 100% accessible, so this is what led to the issue. Miguel's parents request that the only accommodation he needs is accessible classrooms, which makes it even worse because that's what ends up happening is Miguel is not able to access his biology class, and instead of convening in a meeting with Miguel and parents to talk about it, um, the counselor, Miss Gussman, just went ahead and removed Miguel from biology and told him his first day back that he would be in a different class. After that happened, Miguel's mother, Miss Hernandez, contacted the school, wanted to meet with me as the school principal. I agreed to have the meeting at the school. That same afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez were joined at the meeting by Miguel's attorney, Howard Carey. And Howard Carey stated, "We might have a problem. Are you familiar with Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973? Do you understand the implications of denying my client access to a classroom at this school? My client has the right to free and appropriate public education. He needs specific services, and these include access to the biology class and anything else we deem necessary to ensure that Miguel's rights are protected." Um, Again, this is, probably to be expected that the parents would come in with an attorney, given that the only thing that they asked for, which was accessible classrooms, was taken away from their son his first day back. Section 2, report any legal or ethical issues. The injury presents no legal or ethical issues, but removing Miguel from his biology class presents a legal and ethical issue. Removing him from that class um, does not go along with IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and then it's discriminating, to not at least try to give him access and just immediately go to most restrictive and take him out of the class. And then Section 3, synthesize exactly what has happened or is happening in a single sentence. Miguel can no longer access his biology classroom due to his use of a wheelchair, and he has been removed from biology class without discussion or consideration of the matter. Section 4, synthesize the facts. The people that are involved here, it's Miguel and his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, myself as the high school principal, Ms. Guzman, the counselor, Howard Carey, Miguel's attorney, Dr. Harvey, the superintendent. The place would be the community of Dover, Nottingham High School. It's 3,200 students, built in 1950s. Despite major reconstruction projects, a lack of funds leave portions of the building still inaccessible to students with disabilities. The program, Nottingham is a public school. Biology is a required credit for college admission where Miguel plans to attend post-secondary education. And then no accommodations other than access to the classroom were asked for. So again, I think that's a big part of this. The parents were just excited for Miguel to get back to school. They felt like he'd be able to do everything he needed to as long as he had access to the classrooms. This is a matter that, should have been handled differently. Section 5, review and prioritize the information. The lack of accessibility in the high school could be damaging to any students with disabilities in the present or future, which ultimately damages the community. The resolution of this conflict is very important for Miguel's education, the school's financial situation, and the jobs of those involved. I think prioritizing Miguel's education first should be the main priority for multiple reasons. Obviously, the students should be the number one priority all the time, but especially in this case, I think making sure that the parents know that your priority is Miguel's education is super important because what has led up to this point does not show that that's the priority. So, and it's likely going to benefit all stakeholders as well, if you can make sure and start doing things with Miguel's education as the first priority from here on out. Are there federal or state funds for situations like these? Is there something we could fundraise for? Or is this something we could fundraise for? Donations, possibly a bond proposal. Section 6, identify your options and possible consequences. So option 1 would be to take no action, which we're not going to do that. Option 2 would be complete reconstruction on the rest of the school to make it 100% accessible. This would be great. I don't know if this is going to actually be an option. I don't know how much money we're talking about. I'm assuming that it's a fairly large high school with 3,200 students, and I would assume that there was a bond proposal already or a grant that was already received to reconstruct the percentage of the high school that's already been reconstructed. So I'm not sure option 2 is going to be there, at least not in the near future. Obviously, in the long term, you want the school to be 100% accessible. And then option 3 would be somewhere in between. And for the immediate future, option 3 is what we're going to go with. So somewhere in between, offer a hybrid situation if the teacher agreed, the biology teacher agreed, until we're able to make the biology room accessible. I think this is probably a good option. I mean, obviously it depends on who the biology teacher is, if they're willing to do this. I hope that in this situation we would be able to work that out. We could offer an online biology course, could reach out to the community regarding funds for accessibility, reconstruction, whether that be through fundraising, through donations, or through a bond proposal. Section 7, evaluate your options. So the pros and cons of some of these options. So prioritize Miguel's education first. This is going to come with many pros because I think right now the biggest problem is that the way that we've handled the situation so far, which would be removing Miguel from his biology class without consulting the family or Miguel, does not show any prioritization of Miguel's education. So we've got to, from here on out, everything we do, make sure that it's very clear that that's our priority. And that's going to be positive for everyone. Are there federal or state funds for situations like these? There are. So there's a federal grant that can be applied for. It's the FSCS Full Service Community Schools grant. And then there's a state grant as well. It's SIG, the School Improvement Grant. And then could we fundraise? You know, this is something that I would still need to look into more. I would assume that in situations like this, you could fundraise or you could accept donations. But again, I think that the money we're talking about to do reconstruction is probably an amount that you're not going to be able to fundraise for. Now, I could be wrong, and especially for just the near future, if it was just the biology room, making it accessible, it's possible that you could fundraise or receive donations that could help you do that. But again, if you're looking for 100% accessibility in the school, probably the grants, the federal and state grants, would be a better option for that. And then hybrid biology class, that's obviously a near future solution. Section 8, choose the best option. So implementation, we're going to provide Miguel with a hybrid option for biology while pursuing funds to make the rest of the school accessible. And that's going to be a long-term solution. The short term is obviously giving Miguel that option to take the hybrid biology class so he can get that credit and still be eligible to apply to the university that he wants to go to. And then apply for the state SIG and the federal FSCS grants. Apply for both of those and start making that accessibility of the rest of the school priority. Discuss options with Dr. Harvey, the superintendent, and the school board to possibly pursue community help through a bond proposal. Just in case the SIG grant or the FSCS grant, neither one comes through, then a bond proposal would be needed, and it might be needed anyways. Even if you got both of those grants, you still might need a bond proposal to finish the project. And then while pursuing all of these solutions, meet with Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez again and apologize for the school's misstep in removing Miguel from biology without consultation. If the counselor could be present to apologize also, hopefully through conversation with the counselor, you have kind of addressed the issue and she realizes, hey, I didn't handle this right, and would be willing to do that as well. But just make sure you talk to them. Say, hey, I know that we handled this wrong. I know that, that it's, we messed up here and we want to make it right. Obviously, Miguel's education is the most important thing. Explain your plan for providing Miguel with the options he needs to succeed, as well as future plans. And then these are the references for those grants.